What if everything about self-improvement you've learned is actually hurting you? We've created a whole empire founded on believing we're essentially defective, constantly tinker with ourselves like defective machines. However, here's the game-changing reality. The foundational premise that you require mending is what's genuinely broken. Think of an ocean wave abruptly gaining awareness and panicking, because it's not rigid like rock, because it ceaselessly changes contours. The wave would try to fix itself, to become more stable. How ridiculous would that sound? Yet this is precisely what we humans do daily. The wave is already perfect, yet we've brainwashed ourselves into believing we're faulty missions needing perpetual restoration. We've been given a reverse tale. You have problems needing solving, dimensions needing development, and if you effort intensely enough and identify the correct strategy, you can eventually fix yourself and become who you're meant to be. This story is so woven into our culture that we rarely question it. We acknowledge our role as endless endeavors in development. However, what if this fundamental premise is utterly flipped? Here's something outrageous. You are never damaged, never partial, never a matter needing remedies. The only element needing restoration is the belief that you require restoration. Contemplate the natural realm. When you observe a tree, you don't assess its limbs as insufficient. The tree is splendid precisely as it appears. It develops and reacts to its surroundings, but doesn't hold committee meetings about personal development. We humans have created this faculty to become our own reviewers and directors. We look in the mirror and see a fixer-upper requiring work. Trees learn too, discovering which direction to grow toward light, how to sink roots deeper. But trees don't distress themselves over inadequate elevation. They respond naturally to what life presents. The contrast is trees believe in their essence, while we've been conditioned to distrust ours. We've been taught to consider our impulses unreliable, our reactions probably inaccurate. Therefore, we form an inner supervisor scrutinizing everything we perform. Am I delivering enough results? Am I developing at the appropriate tempo? It's depleting, like harboring an obsessive manager in your thoughts, ceaselessly considering you deficient. But this supervisor isn't you. It's internalized critiques, adopted expectations from family, educators, and culture. You've internalized a committee making you feel perpetually inadequate. But who is aware of this committee? Who watches these critiques? Something within you observes this theater without getting entangled. That something is what you really are. You're not the beliefs about yourself. You are the consciousness in which all this manifests like climate conditions across sky. The sky is never wounded by weather patterns. Storms emerge and fade, but the sky continues boundless. Likewise, ideas of insufficiency arrive and depart, but your true self remains unmarked. You can adapt and mature without the narrative that you're essentially damaged. See small children acquiring walking skills. They fall repeatedly. Do they build stories about being inadequate? Not at all. They get up and continue, because walking looks delightful. Learning emerges naturally, spontaneously, without self-critique. Two approaches to evolution exist. One believes you're defective, like a repairman working on a faulty machine. The other sees you're already intact, like a gardener believing in organic development. The repairman labors while the gardener cooperates with life. Most advancement approaches are mechanical. We treat ourselves like robots requiring better software. But what if you're more like a garden containing natural intelligence? When you place confidence in this wisdom, you end struggling against yourself. Instead of cramming yourself into patterns, you permit your essence to manifest. When you stop combating yourself, you liberate massive energy for existence. Reflect on how much energy you use assessing yourself. Think if that power were available for remaining present. The individual who realizes their intact funnels energy into manifestation and discovery. Here's something startling. When you end trying to correct yourself, Things you thought needed fixing often take care of themselves. When you cease generating self-judgment, your clear-sightedness emerges. A lot of what we think is defective arises from efforts to mend what was never defective. You may suppose you have an anxiety challenge and use strategies to correct it, but this effort creates more anxiety. What if being anxious at times is entirely acceptable? When you cease treating anxiety as an issue, it frequently vanishes organically. We've been conditioned to believe we should have specific feelings: cheerful, confident, calm. But feelings are the meteorology of awareness. Occasionally rough, occasionally placid. This isn't a flaw. This same concept applies to character features we see as defects. Maybe you're quiet in a culture honoring extroversion. Rather than mending these features, recognize them as your unique contribution. Oak trees don't endeavor to become pines. Rivers don't feel sorry for not being mountains. When you embrace your essence fully, something magical happens. You stop burning energy attempting to be someone else. This doesn't imply you never grow, but development comes from fascination rather than inadequacy. You learn because development is pleasurable. Children don't struggle with imagination. They simply imagine naturally and effortlessly. We learn to distrust natural intelligence. We've changed our internal life into an enterprise with reviews. Yet your original self still endures, waiting for you to remember you were never broken in the first place. Here's a seeming impossibility. The more you endeavor to improve yourself, the more you emphasize needing development. But when you see you were never defective, evolution happens naturally without strain. When you rely on your nature, development occurs like blossoms opening, exquisitely in their own moment. This isn't indifference, but confidence in the intelligence that drives your heart. So here's an experiment. Execute a trial. For one day, stop trying to fix yourself. Regard that day as a present to welcome. Welcome emotions without adjusting them. Observe thoughts without evaluating. Consider yourself like a cherished companion, with caring, tolerance, and good humor. You might discover you're wonderful exactly as you are. This is the secret. You were never flawed. You're already complete, already full, already sufficient. You're not isolated from life. You are life manifesting in human shape, and existence is a celebration. We're all waves on the same ocean, each singular, each perfect, each momentary. When you comprehend this as lived truth, you can finally sink into being who you are. Your real self is more beautiful than your conceived ideal. You don't require becoming closer to life, because you are life playing at being you. The wave is the sea playing at being separate. If this message resonated with you, I warmly invite you to subscribe to the channel. Follow for more material that challenges accepted wisdom about personal development and self-improvement. And drop a comment below with the word whole to tell me you're ready to welcome your whole, undamaged nature exactly as you exist at this instant.